Hi everyone, thank you for coming to see me again. I'm going to talk about sex. A bit like that song, let's talk about sex, baby. On a more serious note, sex unfortunately can make us ill. Now, for the people that get to know me, you know how I feel about this side and the other side. So I'm going to try and bring the two together, but to see how those sexual energies work from this side of life and the other side of life. Now, I know when I was about 5, 6 years old, I became quite aware of myself sexually. When I got to 18, when I started having sex, I found each partner thereafter had something in common, and it was sex. And it was very strong, powerful sex that dominated them, and it seemed to dominate me for a while. When I look back, was it because I was trying to control them through sex because I couldn't control my feelings, etc.? Is it so from a past life? Is it something to do with my spiritual growth that eventually would come to fruition? Who's to say? But let's just make this quite clear. I am not trying to frighten anybody, and I'm not saying don't have sex. What I'm trying to do is bring it over from sex to making love, or having enjoyable sex that is pleasurable without becoming unwholesome because of what it can do to you. Now, these are my experiences, as you know, these are the stories I've got to tell you. So let's just go back to simplicities first. As people, we seem to buy into this huge industry, which is the pornographic industry. Why? Because we get something out of it. Most people are intrigued by watching other people having sex. What worries me is that, do we have to watch pornographic stuff to be able to relieve ourselves or have better sex with our partners? Put that to the side. When I look at the people that are putting out these images or having sex to stimulate others, be it from actually having sex or for people, men and women, that are putting themselves out in the respect of nudity, whether it's glamour girls, whether it's page 7 or page 3, whether it's pole dancing, whether it's straight gate, whatever. It's all those people staring at that person. Now, I know somebody that became a pole dancer, and she started to feel some unwholesome energies around it because she was developing spiritually. What was taking place, not quite sure. I didn't get a chance to really sit down with her, but it did start to make me feel, because I've always had this thought about us as human beings, and most of us are quite sensitive. So all of those thoughts connecting to that person. So if that person is putting that out, knowing full well what they're doing is actually turning somebody on, wanting their attention, wanting to want them sexually. Now, on a serious note, when we release those energies through our minds, which from okay to not so okay, this could be from just being turned on right through to having very dark, evil, unwholesome thoughts about one person that you're watching. Now, if many people have those thoughts about one person, that is a mass energy coming to that person. It is a thought form. Thought forms take on energy, take on life. Now, that person's in the law of acceptance by being there and actually being the firing line, because they've put themselves there deliberately. Some people obviously don't want to do that sort of work and may be forced into it for various reasons, but I'm just talking about energies right now. So you imagine that massive thought form that is going to those regions, which can weaken those regions. I've seen many people that are quite unwell from the stomach down, and I question their sexual activity and what they're putting out. Now I look at masturbation. People that masturbate, it's normal, it's part of life, I haven't got a problem with it, but what are you masturbating over? If it's something quite normal, that just relieves you, fine, it's part of life, can't take that away. But if people are thinking unwholesome thoughts, what are you drawing to you? You are drawing from the other side, and this is where I go to the other side. If someone here is some sort of sexual deviant, when they cross over, they don't suddenly gain wings and don't always come into self-realisation. If it was very powerful in their lives, they will gravitate to the earth planes and get off on somebody else's aura, So that's where you get the voyeurs from the other side. People will say to me, I said to somebody in a room, you know, some people actually have experiences where something external, beyond our normal range of perception, can be having sex with them. Again, I'll tell you one of those stories in a minute. So again, I question our thoughts, because, you know, we talk about, as I said, the psychic protection. What about sexual psychic protection? But this protection starts in how we operate. Unfortunately, we do become quite lustful. We do desire this sex, you know, and I know I was one of those persons, but, you know, I started to understand it with certain feelings that I got. Now, people having sex. Now, if two people are having unwholesome sex, be it male, female, both sexes, whatever, again, you're drawing in that energy externally. Again, getting off on your aura, because when you're having an orgasm, or whatever's in your thoughts, it's being released, like for like. I also look at people that are on drugs or drink. I know with one of my partners, when he was on coke, I didn't always feel comfortable, that I actually felt he took on another personality, and I wondered if it was him that was actually having sex with me. I actually felt uncomfortable. I felt the energy would change in the room. So again, it wasn't so much about me, but it was about his faults. And because he was very unbalanced and then taking the drugs, he certainly opened up channels. I'm not trying to scare you. I am trying to make you consider who you're having sex with. You know, it's okay to have sex, but you need to look after yourself. Don't be so gullible with all of this. Now, I've got a few stories I'd like to tell you. Now, there's one lady I know that she started to open spiritually, and 7 o'clock she did a meditation, fine, finished, 11 o'clock went to bed. She goes, Tracy, you know, I've got to tell you something here, this really bothered me. Go for it. Well, when I went to bed at 11 o'clock, I actually started to feel someone touching me, trying to have sex with me. And I said, well, was it actual physical sex inside or just touching you? She goes, just on top. I said, okay, 3 things can happen. This is just to educate people, because it's not all about entities, etc., but it could be thought forms. Now, I said to her, have you been having any sexy thoughts lately about someone? Have you linked into somebody? Yeah, I have actually. I said, well, he may have been thinking about you the same time as well as you, him. I wasn't thinking about it. Well, still, he may have been thinking about you, so that may have drawn his energy to you, that you physically felt his thoughts and what he was doing. Another thing is, if you are opening up and you're quite powerful in your own sexualities, yes, you can draw in external energies. The third thing is, as you develop spiritually, you do power up the chakra points, and as the energy rises up, it can give you feelings that you don't understand but can represent some sort of orgasm. I know back in the day, trance mediums would have a full-on orgasm while going into trance because all their chakras were stimulated. One story, just to help you understand. I know with a friend of mine, he was out one day and he said to me, you know, I saw this person walking down the street all dressed up and turned me on, Trace, to be quite honest. And so I didn't realise when they turned around to a young girl. Now this also worries me, that you've got young kids that are dressing up like women, and even women should be dressing the way that they do sometimes, because it's provocative, it is exotic. You know, it brings up feelings in people, but these youngsters don't realise that they actually think it's for their own age group, and they're trying to find themselves. It's understandable, you know, we all did that. I was wearing a hot pants when I was a kid, but we're naive. But parents should educate them, because you don't want that sort of attention. You don't want attention from men, and yes, it is about the men, but that is the world out there. You know, people these days are so stimulated by sex. It's very powerful for many reasons why, as human beings, we've got like this. You know, we're earthy for many reasons, that we do seem to separate ourselves from more divine forces. Nevertheless, there are youngsters out there putting out stuff because of knowing they're going to get attention, but it's where they're getting that attention from. Unfortunately, be it magazines or on the TV, the people we aspire to are promoting these sexual energies. You know, they're promoting that to be wanted, to be liked, that we should all be sexy. You know, I go to parties and I see girls wearing really, really short skirts, and then they do want your attention. They want you to want them sexually. We've got to start to move on, because, as I said, sex is fine, but it can't all be about sex. And sex should be about making love. You know, most people, most women I know, would rather be tenderly kissed. They would rather be stroked. They'd rather feel the passion rather than to just jump on and jump off. You know, I've had that in my life, that I sit there and think, I want you to hold me. I want you to tell me you love me while you're making love to me, not just jump on, jump off. I don't think men realise, some men think by just having sex they're satisfying you and that's the way they show love, and I fully understand that. But this is just to help us move on. Now, what really made me think is when my relationship with my partner that was doing the coke and the drink broke up, the very first period that I had was the most painful period of my life. I woke up in the middle of the night and I can't begin to tell you how painful it was. I literally struggled out of bed, got to the drawer in the kitchen, popped a couple of pills, laid there and said, please God, stop this pain. I could feel energy being poured down from my legs. I could feel the back of my spine at the base, a circle of heat, boiling, absolute boiling, and I thought, what's going on? Eventually I must have dozed off, but the next morning I thought, do you know what, I was cleansed. And I've never had a period like that again. But it said to me, you know, he was unbalanced. You know, he did have sex with me, and I used to question what's in his mind. But again, law of acceptance, I accepted him. You know, this dear lady that I used to go and give healing to, you know, the first encounter was, you know, you've got ovarian cancer. And I don't say this is for all ovarian cancer, this is just a story I had to tell you and what my conclusions was. And it seems like this has been my flow to help me understand all of this, so what I'm attracted to. So I said to this lady, you know, may I ask you how was your relationship with your partner? And she said, to be quite honest, Trace, my partner rapes me every night. And okay, right, oh. So I sat and thought it through. Okay, her partner's raping her, but on top of that, she told me that he'd have a drink. Probably just one drink, and then he would actually change and be so aggressive with her. And half the time he didn't actually realise afterwards, and that took one drink, so the door was open just by one drink, if that's your flow, and I will go into how these energies work. But she obviously was forced into a position that she was having sex. He was coming at her in an aggressive, unloving way. She was angry and very upset what was taking place. That area became a negative area. There was no love in that area, not even between heart and heart. It was an explosion of negative energy, and she was forced upon. I now feel that area became weakened because she's actually a very sensitive and very spiritual woman, and I see it seems to happen with some of these spiritual people. She obviously had that battle with the good and the bad in her own body, and through her sensitivity, unfortunately, that reaction caused a physical problem. Now, as I said, I do see a lot of people that are unwell down below, from the stomach, all sorts, all these irritable bowel syndromes, etc. And I do look, that is the base chakra, that is the sacral chakra. Now, I was on the internet the other day, and you know, there's a lot of stuff out there telling us how to have sex. You know, there's someone out there saying, well, you've got to do this, and men, you need to go on your women, and this, that, and the other. And I thought, where is the love? Where is the knowledge about our thoughts, our intentions, how we should flow? Where's learning about protection of these naive people that put themselves out there and draw that energy to them that could break them down from this side and the other side?